There's video coming from the University of Washington in Washington State now, reminiscent of Seattle's Chaz Chop Garden. The Gaza camp protesters are now creating a community garden similar to that which we saw a few years ago. Very small garden here at UW and also more at other universities as well. We'll take a quick look at that. They're very small. It doesn't seem they're getting direct funding from Soros for these gardens. Last time they did this at Chaz Chop in Seattle, it was largely unsuccessful and was torn down just a couple days after Christmas and never bared any fruit. But we see it happening again. A lot of people joked at the beginning of these protests that this would be happening soon, and here we are. It's been happening for a number of weeks. We just have new video today as the weather starts getting nice and ideal for planting. I think that there's a deeper underlying reason why we see this happening beyond conflicts globally and protesting and all this. I think that people are lacking community. I love the idea of community gardens. I don't love the idea of taking over land not designated for that and just planting. I think there's proper channels in order to do that. A lot of communities do have community gardens that are largely successful and bear fruit and have a lot of volunteers, etc. It's a wonderful thing. I think more people should garden, and I think it's a great thing for the community, regardless of your political standpoints. Politicizing a garden is something that I never thought I would ever see, but here we are. We've been seeing it. It's pretty insane. So let's take a quick look at this video posted by the Post-Millennial from the ground at the University of Washington Gaza camp. Tiny garden, very low. She's putting sticks before she puts soil.
That, have the coffee beans, and then you do sticks, and then we got some hay, and we do potting soil on top.
So what's going to go in the garden?
We don't know yet.
They don't know yet. They don't know what's going in there yet. And here's just video of the encampment, some graffiti in the background on the campus building. They've got signs and whatnot. Still a lot of people camping out here. They've got tents.
Art space.
Art space.
It's signs.
Look, I mean, this is I could see why a lot of young folks go here and they have this sense of community and they're lulled into this protesting. And maybe they don't know so much about exactly what's going on between different countries and everything, and we've seen video of this. But I think it's just lack of community. People need that community, and especially after 2019, 2020, when things completely fell apart and people were locked in their mom's basement and whatnot. I mean, people have been missing out for years on things, scared to go outside and all this. I think this is an outcry manifesting of that suppression of lack of community. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? I mean, I love the idea of a community garden. I don't think this is the exact way to do it, especially politicizing it. Moving on, here's a picture of the garden at Harvard. They've just got some seeds starting, some flowers. Yeah, this was posted by the Stu Studio on x.com. This is a video from back with Chaz Chop's garden. If you guys recall, let's watch this video.
I don't normally use TikTok like this, but I don't know what else to do. As many of you know, I relocated to Seattle in the summer, and one of the most amazing things about my neighborhood is the Black Lives Matter Memorial Garden. It was started during COVID by a coalition of black farmers as a memorial to black and indigenous people murdered by police. And since its creation, it's fed hundreds of residents here in Capitol Hill.
I didn't know that it was actually feeding anybody. We'll take a quick look at it in a second. I don't know if that's accurate. Let me know if you guys know more on that.
An important part of this community since its creation, and it's also faced the harassment and threat of removal by the city and police. Hundreds of residents have been coming out to protest, wanting to protect the garden, and dozens of businesses have signed up saying they like having the garden here. Last Public Works meetings, there were mention of a public forum in January where people could give feedback on the garden and if they wanted the garden to stay, what people wanted, and they could hear from community members. Hearings that Seattle has had about all sorts of public works projects like this. Except then this morning at 6 a.m., 2 days after Christmas, cops and Public Works are here on the ground with an excavator and ripping up the entire garden.
Well, it's an illegal garden. That's why. I don't think that communities necessarily have anything against gardens. Like I said, many communities have gardens. That's a good way of doing it, though. Find a bunch of people in your community who want a garden, and I bet you, chances are, there's a space in your community for it. If people want it, you can make it happen. That's the way towns and cities work. We could do it. It reminds me of the Freedom Gardens from World War II. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's Ian Miles Chong. This is from June 12th, 2020. A video. Ian Miles Chong writes, "A homeless Chad has taken over the gardens in Chaz and destroyed it. They had their struggles. You can see they laid down a bunch of cardboard and a thin layer of soil on top in an attempt in the early stages of developing their garden here. Here it is after they've planted. There's a sign. It says, this is a community garden. All are welcome." And then something below that. Chaz Chop Garden Philosophies. Posted by Caesar Pounce. Yeah, there you go. Here is another one. Get your food from the Chaz Chop Garden. It doesn't look like much food. It says here on the sign, "This garden is for Black and Indigenous folks and their plant allies." Okay, so Black and Indigenous garden written on cardboard next to that. It looks like they got a drum for water, or a couple drums for water, lots of tents, etc. So we're just seeing repeat of what we saw a few years ago. Hopefully we don't see the destruction. Here's an article from Crosscut. They wrote a question here. "How long do you think this garden could last, and what could it leave behind?" And it says here, quote, "As far as the garden, I think, if anything, there are connections that can be made here. I would hope for there to be a garden in this park, but I would hope this sort of impact, in a sense, this protest, forces the parks department to rethink how they manage parks and incorporate more food into it. Like, none of these trees produce anything. Why are they here? So I think we just need to incorporate more function into the park, and I hope this can start that conversation, because we have a moment in time where people are watching and people are listening, and police are off our backs, so let's take advantage. I don't know what police have to do with gardens. If you have a legal garden, the police don't care. And as a matter of fact, they probably love community gardens. I think it's just a matter of following laws and not taking over other people's property. Yeah, create gardens in every community. Why not? I love the idea, but this is not the way, I have to say. What do you guys think? Let's move on here. Victory Gardens. This was something we saw in World War II. And I want to tell you a little bit about it. I mean, maybe we'll see this again. At least, maybe we should. I hope we do. I mean, everybody, please plant some gardens. Not a politicized protest garden, but just a nice, wholesome, good, old-fashioned garden. This is a document from the National World War II Museum.org. They write here, "What is a victory garden?" They said, during World War II, victory gardens were planted by families in the United States, the home front, to help prevent a food shortage. Planting victory gardens made sure that there was enough food for our soldiers fighting around the world. Because canned vegetables were rationed, victory gardens also helped people stretch their ration coupons, the amount of certain foods they were allowed to buy at the store. Yeah, that's right. They were only allowed to buy so much food. It says here, quote, "Because trains and trucks had to be used to transport soldiers, vehicles, and weapons, most Americans ate local produce grown in their own communities. Many different types of vegetables were grown, such as tomatoes, carrots, lettuce, beets, and peas. Victory gardens were responsible for bringing Swiss chard, which is wonderful, and kohlrabi, I don't know what that is, onto the American dinner table because they were easy to grow." Absolutely. It says here, quote, "At their peak, there was more than 20 million victory gardens planted across the United States. By 1944, victory gardens were responsible for producing 40% of all vegetables grown in the United States. More than 1 million tons of vegetables were grown in victory gardens during the war. People with no yards planted small victory gardens in window boxes and watered them through their wet windows. Some city dwellers who lived in tall apartment buildings planted rooftop gardens, and the whole building pitched in and helped. Many schools also participated. It says here, the U.S. government printed recipe books describing how to prepare homegrown vegetables and make nutritional and tasty meals, etc. So that's something we saw during World War II. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have some food in your communities, y'all. some nice local, good, healthy food. And I think we could probably throw in livestock into this mix as well. However, this isn't going to feed very many people, you know. But if you could do anything, plant something, just for the sake of healthy food in your local community. What do you guys think about this? Where's this going? Is this going to be a repeat? Are we seeing history repeat itself? My gosh. Well, hopefully everyone stays safe, things get resolved, and we could get back to some sense of normalcy in this world. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Take care. God bless, and God speed.